what's up? It's Steph on Steph's Rock Show on Spotify, and we've got Paul of Darkest Path.
Awesome. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me, Steph.
What time is it in Hawaii?
It is 8:59.
So I should be drinking on Hawaiian time.
Yeah, I mean 8:59 in the morning though.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
still kind of
Sunday.
fun too. It's 11:59 here, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So okay, I had to know because I love the page, the aesthetics, and it's so dark. How do you live in such a light, beautiful area and create such dark, heavy metal music?
That's a great question. Yeah, I did not grow up here. It's actually a great story in that when I grew up in Virginia in the Richmond area. So,
You're inbred.
Yeah. I was growing up in a place that has a lot of metal, right? And when I moved to Hawaii, man, my first few months here, I was like, I never recorded an album. And I was like, man, I really need to record an album or I'm like going to lose all that inner rage that I have.
Yeah.
Just get it out, before it starts to suck. So, so it's an interesting. I'm a very happy person. I love it here. Most of my days are filled doing very happy things. But metal has just always been a really great outlet for me. And there's not a huge community here, but there is a community here of metalheads, and I'd say once or twice a year we get a decent show. So we just had Lauren Ashore that came by a couple months ago. That was fun.
I love them. What? Yeah. So how did you get to Hawaii?
Oh man. So when I was, I don't know, this was back in 2010. I just was fed up. I lived up in the DC area. I hated it there, and I was just ready to go. Just not my type of people, It was just nonstop like networking, that sort of thing. And I don't know. I found it very difficult to make really good friends. So I wanted out, and the relationship I was with at the time, I was like, hey, I'm leaving here in 3 years, and I'd like you to come with me, but I was like, I can't do it, And so. 3 years later, after sort of traveling all over the United States and doing some international travel, I settled on Hawaii. I loved Hawaii. And I was like, this is
it's beautiful. I made a baby in Hawaii on the beach. My first kid.
There we go.
That's how beautiful it is of an area. Beach. Yeah. It was the Hawaiian Hilton. About 11 years
over
ago.
In Waikiki.
Yeah. I got wasted. We had just got married. We were on our honeymoon, and I went out and made a baby. It was just
that's amazing.
So, you guys should do that. You should go to the beach and make a kid.
I will let my fiance know.
After the wedding. Maybe after the wedding.
Yeah, that's next year.
Yeah. So wait, we were just talking before we came on. You didn't know that you were Black now. That gingers
Apparently
are Black.
I am. Apparently I am. TikTok has told me that I am, and
is that better for DEI? Maybe more job opportunity can open up for you in the area, or are you excited about this?
Yeah, I could make some. I could definitely make some calls, petitions about hopefully getting more representation in the metal community from the politicians locally here, and maybe they'd be into it. I don't know. Yeah.
You'd be like, since I'm African American, we need more African Americans in metal, and it's not just sleep token.
Very high one eyebrow raise, but yes.
Yeah. I don't think everyone's on board. So do you longboard?
Oh man. Yeah. So like I tell people when they ask me about surfing, it's like I surf, but I'm not a surfer.
Okay.
And by that I mean like I've gone out, I have a good time when I do. But I mean there are people here that are insanely good surfers, and so I can't hang with anybody like that. My cousin has been surfing his entire life, and but mostly like East Coast is where he started, and then he ended up in Central America doing a bunch of surfing down there. Came to Hawaii and was like, I couldn't hang. It's just like the talent here is ridiculous.
Do you trust the ocean?
Yeah, probably too much. Yeah.
Because I'm scared. So I surfed when I was little. Like I trusted the ocean like 13 to 17. I surfed growing up in NorCal around Santa Cruz. And now I've seen too many shark attacks and things go wrong. I'm not getting in deep to the ocean, just like my feet.
Yeah. I I have always been a risk taker. So, I mean, this year I went free diving, but I went diving with sharks, like no cage,
Wow. In a
North Shore,
cage?
no cage,
No cage.
no cage, no
Did
cage.
one come right up to you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have some images in
Damn.
my personal Instagram about. Maybe I'll post them to the Darkest Path side, but it was just yeah, it was definitely.
Some people like free diving with sharks, and I like having unprotected sex. We all have our risky
Well, some
behavior.
people like both.
Yeah. That's a good point. I'm not doing the shark diving. I'm like, I'll have some hot guy from an app onto my house that I don't know, but I mean, he could kill me just like a shark. So I'm really taking large risks in that.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, yeah.
So, okay, so tell me more about Darkest Path. Like, when did the band start? How did it start? Was it when you got to Hawaii, or did you kind of move it over?
It's kind of a weird transition. So, I've always been like a musical writer. I've been writing songs for since I was 12, and I'd always had this dream. And when I was in high school, I was going to uh, drop out as soon as I was 18, and then move to Germany and start a metal band. That was the plan. And
Wow.
yeah,
Du hast, man. You're just like,
yeah, it didn't end up happening that way, but
yeah.
and I'd always had this like romanticized idea about starting a band in Europe. And so when I was in college, I studied abroad in England for a year. I was up in at the University of Leicester, met a bunch of metalheads.
I was University of Westminster.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, dude,
Yeah.
awesome.
That's cool. I thought it was the cool thing in college to study abroad for a semester, and I had a blast.
It was though. It
Didn't it
was. I
change
had.
your life? It changed my mental state, like how I think. I think of the
Oh yeah,
world a lot
yeah,
in a good way.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just completely I don't know, submerged in somebody else's culture and just trying to make sense of it.
Yeah.
But one line that was definitely like, like a thread between my culture and theirs was just definitely metal. So like, I was able to meet some really great people out there, and we formed a band. We played all of my songs. We played 5 of them. There's they're buried on SoundCloud somewhere. Songs that have never were released. We recorded with a single mic, no vocals, just
Nice.
jingling in this like art room that we used to practice in. And yeah, that was Darkest Path, and only I think one riff that I wrote from one of the songs ended up in the song "The Incorruptibles," which was off my first album. So yeah, I did that, and then after that was pow, as they say in Hawaii. I went back to the United States. Obviously, that band was dissolved. I'd been in a bunch of other bands earlier, and then when I moved to Hawaii, I wanted to record, a bunch of songs that I'd written probably for about a decade.
Oh,
And so, from like leaving high school all the way up until, when I moved to Hawaii. So I worked with a buddy of mine who is an amazing musician. And me and him recorded in his, his bedroom, over a series of like 4 or 5 months. And yeah. And then after that, I started a live band here in Hawaii, wrote brand new songs, and we played for a few years. I mean, the shitty thing about that was like we had just finished like having the full set. It was like almost a 50-minute set, and we played 2 awesome shows here in Hawaii. Had great crowds, and we had gotten scheduled to play with a larger headliner. They were like more of a hardcore punk band, and yeah, it was great. And then COVID hit, and so we had no shows to play. And then Hawaii was stricter than any other state. So
yeah.
the ability for us to go out and play was just completely dead for a year and a half. That put a damper on things. Eventually that was dissolved, and I just said, screw it. I'm just, I love writing music and playing music. I'm just going to go solo here and just do, just record a bunch of the songs that we used to play. I haven't recorded all of them yet. But I also have a back catalog of like 20 completed songs that
Oh, wow.
taking through, and also writing some new stuff.
What island are you on?
I'm on Oahu.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay. So you've
like,
got where everything's going on. Yeah. Have you been to Kauai or Maui or any
I'm
other?
into all the islands.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite besides the one you're at the main island?
Yeah, definitely Oahu is my favorite. Probably followed by Kauai. Yeah,
I heard it's the most beautiful. I've never been there, but my grandpa said it was the like most beautiful place he's ever been, and he's kind of been everywhere. So I
yeah,
need to check. I think Jurassic Park was even filmed, like scenes of it there.
yeah. The opening scene of Jurassic Park, where they're flying the helicopter in and they see the mountains there. That's in the Pali
Yeah.
Coast on the north shore of Kauai. But then they also recorded a ton on Oahu. My personal feeling is that Oahu and Kauai are the prettiest, but they have the same like topography. They've got this like dramatic, mountains, and both Oahu and Nepali and Kauai both have that. There's just a lot less people and a lot less stuff to do in Kauai. You're definitely left with your own
Yeah.
thoughts for a while.
It's like retirement, and I need stuff to do. I don't like the weather, man. It changes so much, like you'll be like, oh, it's fine. It's not raining. And then it's raining all of a sudden. And I don't know. I mean, it is like, 70s and 80s, but the humidity and the condensation in my hair looks like Weird Al Yankovic in Hawaii. So I don't think it's like my jam.
It definitely changes quite a bit. But I mean, for me, if you're like located in like one area and you kind of stick to that area most of the time, it's pretty, I'd say standard. We don't really get cold. People call it the winter here, and I insist on calling it the wet season because that's exactly what it is. It just rains more, but it's still perfect. uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I live just north of town, in a rainier area, so it gets I get lots of rain, and it's lush and green. So yeah, it's a
It's
good spot.
pretty though. What about,
Oh
I know there's been drug problems out there,
yeah,
with like a good amount of drug addiction. Have they gotten a hold on it, or is it still kind
no,
of
no, it's
no?
out of control. I think. Yeah, there's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too plugged into like the statistics. I'm sort of just going from a N of one sort of perspective here. But when I go out to certain beaches, it's just flooded, and it's not great.
It's
So
got to be the place to be homeless and on drugs though. It's beautiful, the weather's nice, you
yeah,
can live in a tent, like if I was homeless and didn't have a
yeah,
lot of money, I'd be like, "Man, can I get a
good
one-way
place to
ticket
go.
to
Yeah,
Hawaii and get some
yeah,
fentanyl and live on the beach?" I don't
yeah,
know. So I get
yeah.
it.
Hawaii is
So,
also
yeah.
has the highest number of working homeless in the U.S. So like people with full time
Wow.
jobs working, but they cannot afford a home, so they live
That's
on
it's
streets.
expensive because things are, busting or, on the boat. And so the prices go up from traveling. And, California too. And when I was in Los Angeles, a lot of people were working and living in their cars or renting a couch because it was just so expensive.
Yeah,
Thank God my grandpa gave me money so I didn't have to like do shit. But man,
yeah.
it's crazy out there.
Yeah, it's good to have a
Um,
good green thumb.
yes, yeah. So and then I didn't have to like go to a casting couch in LA. So it's good to be financially supported by your family at home. So you're not
Yeah,
doing work out
yeah.
there. Um, so okay, what metal bands like inspired you and that you growing up were like, oh, okay, I like that sound. I want to get in a band because I dig this band.
Sure. Yeah, so I grew up on folk music. My dad played a lot
Oh
of, like,
wow.
John
You
Denver
were out
and
in the trailer in the Ozarks, like
yeah, not quite
with
like that,
the
but yeah,
banjo.
yeah, like, he was big into it, a lot of Beatles, and so that was me from a young age and what I got into. It was my cousins that introduced me to sort of, some of my first, like real metal, more like 80s sort of stuff. And I got into the first song that ever really captured me in my youth was No Leaf Clover by Metallica. And so I went out and
Nice.
bought the S&M album. And then, one day I was just like, I really love this band. I'm going to go out and I'm just going to buy a Metallica album. And I didn't know. I mean, it was just CDs those days. So I couldn't hear any of the music. And I just went out, I was like, which one is the coolest cover? And I was like, I like Electric Chairs. Let's go. So, and I
Yeah.
played Ride the Lightning so many damn times. And I remember getting together with my cousins, and they were like, "Well, if you like that, you should listen to Iron Maiden." And so they let me listen to, the Wicker Man, and I loved that song. And then I went out and bought Brave New World, and just took a deep dive into everything Iron Maiden. I love Iron Maiden.
Yeah,
And
me too.
and then after and then I never really, for several years, I just could not get into any of the heavier stuff. I don't know why. I just couldn't do it. And then one day I was at a buddy of mine's house and we were just downloading a ton of music. And one of the songs that I love by Iron Maiden, Hallowed Be Thy Name, I saw on there, but it was a remake by Cradle of Filth. And I was like, oh, what's this? So I downloaded it and heard it, and I was immediately hooked. And I just took a deep dive into sort of like that mainstream black metal stuff, and then got into a bunch of underground stuff. And I went through a major black metal phase. So I was listening to Emperor and Gorgoroth and Dimmu Borgir, and just those bands definitely were a huge part of my youth and metal. And and then eventually just progressed. I listened to a ton of Amon Amarth, Children of Bodom. And eventually got to where whatever style it is that I have now. I've talked to people about this in the past, and one of the things that they've always said that kind of sets my style apart is I don't typically have like a defined style. A lot of my music traverses multiple different styles, even in an individual song. So yeah.
What do you think? What's your opinion on metal bands doing crazy makeup or wild costumes and stuff like that?
So when I was young, I thought it was badass, and now I kind of find it a bit comical, but I love it both ways. I think, like, I remember watching like Metalocalypse, which kind of I thought of as like the Spinal Tap of my generation, right? Where it's trying to be as metal and as evil as possible, and I think it's just all in good fun. So I love it. I love it. I mean, I still occasionally would do stuff like that. Like I went to Japan recently with my son and my fiance, and we all put on like face paint and like went down to like the freak area of Tokyo.
Nice.
Yeah, just stuff like that. I mean, I'm certainly into it, but doesn't bother me one way or the other.
Yeah. I think it's neat. I don't think it distracts too much. You're right. When I was younger, I was like, I'm going to listen to this band because they're spewing blood out in costumes and stuff. And now I'm like, okay, is the music actually good? Like it has to be both of it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about like a show, you know what I mean? It's like it's if it I don't think it's wrong either way, but it's like if some bands will get up there and they've got nothing but some just street clothes and some instruments, which is awesome, and then some will get up and they've got the face paint, they've got like almost like a sketch going on, there's visuals and themes, and maybe somebody's doing something that's planned in the audience, it's and to me, yes, still about the music, but it's less of like just a concert and more like going to a show. And I think both have their place.
Like a theater. Yeah. In it too.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What do you think is the second most metal color? So besides black, what's the second most metal color?
Pink. I am a fucking fan. When people are like, "What's your favorite?"
You're engaged
color?
to a girl, right? Is it a female?
Yeah. No, my favorite color is blue, but my favorite combo is hot pink and black.
And mine too. Mine too.
Yeah. Oh, it is the shit. It is. There is no. I'm like, it is. It's just something wild about it. It's metal and crazy.
Did you have a MySpace? Because my MySpace was always hot pink and black.
I had a MySpace for like half a second, late high school. But I fucking love those color combos.
That's funny. I've never heard of pink.
Alexi Leho used to play he had tons of guitars, but one of his favorites was black and hot pink. And I remember looking at that combo once and being like, damn, it just looks so good.
Yeah. I think it's kind of hot too when guys wear pink. It's like, they're still masculine, but in a feminine color. Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. Can we do this or that? So I'll say two things and you choose one or the other.
Okay. All right, let's go.
Okay. Pineapples or mangoes?
Mangoes.
Okay. VHS or DVD?
DVD.
Netflix or Hulu?
Netflix.
Are you a morning person or night person?
Morning.
70s rock or 90s rock?
Oh, that's fucking hard.
I know, right? They're both good. Very
90s.
different. 90s? Yeah. Oh, and then I was gonna ask Kauai or Maui, but you already said Kauai would
Yeah,
be
definitely
between
Hawaii.
those two. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it about Maui? Because I feel like that's usually everyone's favorite. That's not your fave.
I don't get it. Yeah,
Okay.
when I go to Maui, it reminds me, and I apologize for everybody that lives in Maui. It reminds me of like the suburbia of the Hawaiian Islands. You know, it
Mm.
was developed like truly developed after a certain period. So like all the cables and everything, they're like underneath the ground. They're not over your head everywhere. Everything's nicely planned for the most part. Some places, parts not so much, but you know, it's very resorty to me. Like when you go like down to Kihei area, it's just like a resort, and you know, go to some of these other like neighborhoods. They're just all very planned to me, and
Like
so
manufactured. Yeah.
yeah. And then like where everybody lives is not like, you know, they live in the valley between the Haleakala, whatever the other mountain is, right? You know, like they just live in that valley for the vast majority. And I don't know, I was just like living on, I don't know, it's just flat, and I don't know, just not into it.
Like
I'm
you're
just like,
paying a lot of money and you could live in the States almost until you go to the outer
yeah. I
circle.
mean, they got
Uh,
great beaches. They got
yeah.
fantastic beaches. But then like all the waterfalls and the really great things to do are also like, you know, you got the two islands and the valley in between. You got to go around to the backside of those mountains to get to
Yeah.
like some of the best hikes, you know, at least for me, because I like waterfall hikes and stuff like that. So
I used to
you
like hikes. I don't like leaving my like walking and exercising and doing things like that now. It's
Yeah,
horrible.
I'm a hardcore hiker. So like all my followers on Instagram, I like recently reached out and like just posted. I was like, should I like, is it you? Would you guys be interested in like me posting like hikes and stuff that I'm
Yeah, I
doing?
bet they're
You know,
beautiful.
yeah, 100% response to yes. So I was like, okay, I
Yeah.
gotta go do that. So I'm
I'll watch your hikes and pretend I'm hiking and exercising while sitting on the
yeah,
couch and drinking wine and being like,
yeah,
yeah, fuck that. I went on a
yeah,
hike last 2020 because it was like the thing to do,
yeah,
was going and we read the directions wrong and we thought it was 5 miles, which we still were out of shape and unright, but it ended up being
yeah.
9 miles total, like out in the Sierra
Nice.
Nevadas. I was so sore for like 2 weeks and I haven't hiked since. Like it's not
No,
yeah, and I heard
you
so the
figured.
chicks are supposed to be really hot in Hawaii, but you brought sand to the beach. Like that's brave of you. You didn't want to kind of look in the area before. You were like, "This is it."
What do you mean? What do you mean? What like the ladies?
Yeah, you brought sand to the beach, so that means you brought the girl when you moved to Hawaii. You didn't want
No.
to like investigate what was out there.
No, I left that girl and I found a much better one. So yeah,
Oh, you
yeah.
left. So you left the girl in Virginia and
No,
got a
no,
new one.
she came with me.
Oh my
But
god,
yeah,
is she still there?
I was married at the time I got divorced. Yeah.
Dude, I've been married a couple times. So wait, you brought her over and then she's just like swimming around the ocean still and you got a new one.
Well, I mean, I did it right. I
Yeah.
ended that relationship, took a break, and then yeah, I met somebody. So she's fucking
Damn.
great. Yeah, I got
That's
engaged.
cool. That's
Yeah,
cool. Dang. And I'm shocked the other chick didn't move back though. I'd probably be so heartbroken. I'm like, okay, I got to move back to the States. I don't want to, it's a small island. I don't want to
yeah,
run into my ex. It's not like you're that close.
yeah. I mean, that would be cool, but
Unless you share a kid though. Like I
we
share
do,
custody
we
with
do,
kids.
we
Oh yeah.
do,
And so
we do.
now I'm fucked.
Yeah,
I have to
the
stay in
fucking
NorCal.
worst.
Damn it, like, I
The
wanna go on a world
worst.
tour with rock stars in tour buses, but I have kids, so
Uh,
I
well,
can't
no,
do
I
that
love the
anymore.
kid. I love the kid part.
Yeah.
It's the you know, usually you can just like at the end of a relationship completely cleave
Oh,
all
yeah.
contact. But when you have a kid, you can't. It's just weird. And yeah, so that sucks, but you know, you get
It's
through it.
it's co-parenting is a learning process. I've done really well because I'm this weird I rush in quickly, like passionately, and then I go, "Oops, my bad. I'm not. I really want to be single again." And so we have a strange, like, short marriages with baby daddy. So we get along, but there's still complications,
Yeah.
peaks and valleys of figuring things out. The more laid back and go with the flow you are, the easier it's going to be. So it's like just not controlling the situation and being like, "Are they cool? Are they fed? They're good. Okay, right on."
Yeah, exactly. How old are your kids?
They're 7 and 11.
7 and 11. Okay. Yeah, mine just
Yeah.
turned 6. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're in it too. And so yeah, they have cell phones though because they're spoiled. So now it's great. They can communicate to their dads on their cell phone and I don't even have to be the middleman of when the pickup is and when I get them back. So
So
It's pretty cool.
do you try to get your kids into metal? Because like when I was my son is into metal. Like when I started him young. First song I ever had, like the first time he ever laughed, I was like over top of him. I was playing Iron Maiden's The Trooper, and I was just like
Nice.
doing a bunch of funny stuff with him, and he just started cracking up. And then like got him into like some In Flames, and then later it got to, he's really into Falling in Reverse. And so
I
I was
love
like,
Falling in Reverse and Ronnie, and like
he
he's been good
loves
to
it.
me.
I
I
flew
know
him
he's
out. I flew him out to Vegas to go to a Falling in Reverse concert, and he lost his shit.
nice.
But he's like super into it. It's so much so that I was like, hey, we should do a song together. And then so
Yeah.
we did a Darkest Path song together. So he's like in there, he
Oh,
sings, he does like the growling, like I mean, he was 5 at the time, so it's a song. It's called For My Son. And I've never done rap, but
oh,
he likes like the rappy part of like Falling in Reverse kind of sound. So I
yeah.
gave it a go in that song, you know, doing some stuff like that and integrating it.
The younger kids like that Machine Gun Kelly, Ronnie Radke, like a little bit of rap, yeah, in with the
Yeah,
rock. So my kids
totally.
are named Bowie and Hendrix, so they are deep into drumming and playing guitar. They're math. My goal is to be the band manager, you know, when they're
Oh,
old enough and to get the tour bus and just party all the time and get 10%.
yeah,
So
yeah.
this is the goal. We'll
That's
see.
that's my son's guitar right there. Yeah,
Oh, cool.
bottom
So
one, but
okay, so if my kids need another guitarist, we'll connect later when they're a couple years older and they
there
can
you
go on
go.
tour.
Yeah. I had an agreement. I was like, I will buy you this guitar because I'm not going to buy him a shitty one. I was like, I'll buy you a guitar, but I get 5 minutes every day where we come up and I teach. I used to teach guitar as well, so I was like, I'm going to teach you how to play. So
Yeah.
that's what we've been doing. Yeah,
Mine was I get to mess around on the drum kit when I'm drunk if I buy it. So every time I'm drunk in the garage, I get to go hard on and no one can yell at me. They're like, "Mom,
yeah,
get off, you're gonna break something." But, you
it,
know, and I
it's
never drink, so that's rare that I'm on the drum kit, but all the time.
yeah, sure.
Um, thank you, Paul, so much for coming by Steph's Rock Show. If you got anything else you want to add or tour dates or anything coming up or pages, and I will tag your page on all the podcast posts as well.
Yeah, no tour dates. Just going solo right now. Almost a year ago, the idea was that I was going to go through and do release a single every single month for a year. So
Oh wow.
so far it's been nine months. Month 10 is already recorded and slated for release, and then the last two are about 50% done in terms of the recording process, but the songs are written. So. I think after that, my plan is to put together an album that is like Hawaii-based songs because I've written a lot of songs about Hawaii. So, and release that
You need
sometime
to
next year.
connect with Jim West. He is the
Okay.
guitarist for Weird Al Yankovic. Yeah, look up Jim West. He guitars for Weird Al Yankovic, and he
Okay.
lives out in Hawaii. And he does a lot of really cool Hawaiian albums and performs all around Hawaii. So I've had him by the old station years ago. I don't know if he's still doing it because it's been like 6 years, but
Yeah.
he's kind of the guy that has all the connection, and he does like his own solo project with Hawaiian chill music. So
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta hit
All
up
right.
Jim West. He's really nice, and, like, of course, I mean, he's a badass. He hangs out with Weird Al and Steven Tyler because, Steven Tyler's out in
Uh-huh.
Maui, so they all
Yeah.
do karaoke and shit on the islands and perform a lot, and I'm like, he looks like a guy that would know the right way to go about the little gigs.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. I'll look him up, see if I can't make a
Yeah,
contact there. That's
definitely. Well,
awesome.
thanks, Paul, so much for stopping by.
Awesome. Yeah. I appreciate your time, Steph. This was a lot of fun.